Criticism is a part of life, isn't it? Especially in the world of comedy, where laughter is currency and every punchline is a gamble. As a Nigerian comedian, I've learned that handling criticism is like navigating a bustling market in Lagos, chaotic, colorful, and sometimes overwhelming. You step into the arena, ready to entertain, and then bam! Someone throws a tomato, or worse, a scathing comment. But let's be real, tomatoes can be washed off, words not so much. Growing up in Nigeria, humor was our coping mechanism. We laughed through the struggles, the traffic jams, the power outages, and the endless queues for fuel. Comedy was a way to process the absurdity of life, to find light in the darkness. But when I decided to take my jokes to the stage, I quickly realized that not everyone would share my sense of humor. You see, comedy is subjective. What makes one person roll on the floor laughing might leave another scratching their head in confusion. The first time I faced criticism, I was a fresh face at an open mic night. I had rehearsed my set for weeks, perfecting every punchline, every pause. I stepped onto that stage with the confidence of a lion, ready to roar. But as I delivered my jokes, I noticed a few faces in the crowd that weren't laughing. Instead, they were frowning, arms crossed, as if I had just insulted their ancestors. After the show, a man approached me. "You think you're funny?" he asked, his tone dripping with disdain. "You need to learn how to tell a proper joke." Ouch. That stung. I wanted to defend myself, to explain that humor is an art, not a science. But instead, I just smiled and nodded, my heart sinking. That moment taught me a valuable lesson. Not everyone will appreciate your art, and that's okay. The key to handling criticism is to separate the constructive from the destructive. Constructive criticism is like a good friend who tells you when you have spinach stuck in your teeth. It's meant to help you improve. Destructive criticism, on the other hand, is like a random stranger yelling at you from across the street. It's loud, it's hurtful, and it usually has nothing to do with you. When I receive constructive criticism, I try to listen. I ask myself, is there truth in what they're saying? If a fellow comedian or a mentor points out that my timing is off or that a joke doesn't land, I take it to heart. I analyze my performance, tweak my material, and strive to be better. After all, comedy is a craft, and like any craft, it requires honing. But then there's the other kind of criticism, the kind that feels personal. I remember a particularly harsh review from a blog that claimed my jokes were too local and not relatable to a wider audience. At first, I was devastated. I thought, am I not funny? Am I not good enough? But then I took a step back. I realized that my humor is rooted in my experiences, my culture, my identity as a Nigerian. If someone doesn't get it, that's their loss. It's essential to have a thick skin in this industry. You can't please everyone, and trying to do so will only dilute your voice. I've learned to embrace my uniqueness, to celebrate the quirks that make my comedy distinctly Nigerian. I talk about the hustle of getting a bus in Lagos, the madness of family gatherings, and the absurdity of Nigerian politics. Those experiences resonate with many, and if a few don't find it funny, well, that's just the nature of the game. Another strategy I've adopted is to surround myself with supportive people. My fellow comedians are my tribe. We share our experiences, our struggles, and yes, our criticisms. We roast each other, but it's all in good fun. When one of us faces backlash, the others rally around, offering encouragement and advice. It's a reminder that we're not alone in this journey. Social media has changed the landscape of comedy and criticism. It's a double-edged sword. On one hand, it allows us to reach a broader audience, to share our jokes with people across the globe. On the other hand, it opens the floodgates for trolls and keyboard warriors. I've had my fair share of nasty comments online, people calling me names, questioning my talent, and even attacking my appearance. At first, it hurt. I would spend hours scrolling through comments, letting the negativity seep into my mind. But then I realized something important. Those comments say more about the commenter than they do about me. I started to focus on the positive feedback instead. The messages from fans who tell me how my jokes made their day, how they related to my stories, how I brought a smile to their faces. Those are the comments that matter. They remind me why I do what I do. I also learned to take breaks from social media when the noise gets too loud. It's okay to step back, to recharge, and to remind myself of my worth. I find solace in writing, in crafting new material, in connecting with my roots. I go back to the essence of my comedy, the stories that shaped me, the laughter that fueled my passion. Ultimately, handling criticism as a Nigerian comedian is about resilience. It's about standing tall in the face of adversity, learning from the feedback, and continuing to share my voice with the world. It's about understanding that every great comedian has faced their share of critics. Richard Pryor, Chris Rock, Ali Baba, none of them started as legends. They faced rejection, ridicule, and harsh words, but they persevered. So when I step onto that stage, I carry with me the weight of my experiences, the laughter of my people, and the knowledge that criticism is just a part of the journey. I remind myself that every laugh is a victory, and every critique is an opportunity to grow. I'm not just a comedian, I'm a storyteller, a voice for my culture, and I won't let anyone dim that light. In the end, it's about finding joy in the craft, embracing the journey, and knowing that laughter is universal. Whether you're in Lagos or London, a good joke transcends borders. And that, my friends, is worth every ounce of criticism I may face.